can't be the only one asking the question, where is Mason Greenwood? If at first every detail of this case was being broadcasted worldwide, it seems out of nowhere, everything went quiet. The more I think about it, the less it makes sense, and the more time I spend searching for what's going on, the more shocked I am at how little information that is. So I decided to roam the internet and compile every little bit of information I could find, so you won't have to be stuck with the same questions I had. I hope I did a good job at respecting the seriousness of this topic. Here's the story. So where did it all start? First of all, Greenwood was born in Bradford, about an hour's drive from Old Trafford. By the age of 5, he began playing for his local team, and about 2 years later, he was already joining Manchester United. The traits he eventually became known for were already present. He was great with both feet and exceptionally fast, so much so that he began attending running events and at the age of 13, ended up breaking the British 100-meter record for his age group. He could have gone on and become an Olympian, but instead football was kept center stage. By the time he was 16, he was already believed to be so good that he was taken into their under-18 squad and still went on to score 17 goals in 21 matches, topping the goal-scoring charts and winning the under-18 Premier League. Soon after, things began unraveling really fast. Mourinho had him travel with the main squad to a Champions League match against Valencia, then he joined them again for a tour around the United States, playing his first friendly for the club and earning his first professional contract. By the time he did get his competitive debut, he completely hit the jackpot, coming on as United went on to iconically beat PSG 3-1, completing the second leg comeback in the very last minute. It was in this same year that Mason Greenwood, who after all was still in high school, started a relationship with a girl who attended his school. Her name was Harriet Robson. Over the following year, Greenwood went on to become one of football's most promising young players, playing nearly 50 matches for Manchester United, mainly as a sub, and going on to score 19 goals, all despite having to deal with a global pandemic. Out of nowhere, he was England's new star boy. However, the drama had already started. During the pandemic, Mason and Harriet broke up. It seemed there were no hard feelings, it was just a mutual decision as they were struggling to deal with keeping their relationship afloat among all the chaos the world was engulfed in. But yet, one of their friends came out to say, they have a lot of problems, it certainly isn't the best relationship. Which now feels like a bit of foreshadowing. However, if the media were already giving this breakup its fair share of time in the spotlight, it would not compare with what would happen next. In September of 2020, shortly before the next season started, the England squad traveled to Iceland for a Nations League match, and there was great expectation as Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood, considered to be the next in line for the title of England's finest, were bound to make their debuts. When the time came, Foden was in the starting 11 and Greenwood was subbed in late into the game as Sterling clutched the win with a penalty in injury time. It hadn't been the greatest match, but at least fans got to see their future idols in the iconic white kits. Certainly, it was a day to remember, huh? Not at all actually, because 2 nights after the match, everything got overshadowed by one massive blunder. While resting at the team's hotel, Mason met Icelandic model Nadia Gunnarsdottir on a dating app, and after a day of talking, Mason decided he had to meet her in real life, and since he couldn't leave the team hotel, because remember, they were in the middle of a global pandemic, he had the worst idea of all time. He checked her into his hotel and told her to come over, and if that wasn't bad enough, he brought Foden with him. Approaching the girl and asking her if she had brought a friend, to which she responded that though her cousin had come along, she had left once they arrived, so the two urged her to get her back so she could keep Foden company, which she did. In some of the leaked videos, you can even hear a confused Phil Foden asking why would they come to the hotel, to which Mason replied, "What do you think?" From there on out, they went about their business, the cousin came back and even brought them candy, which is hilarious considering it is also strictly forbidden in a national team's campus, and then it all derailed when Mason began recording the videos that would eventually get leaked, deciding to barge into Foden's room after, I quote, they could hear them having fun, and started recording them in their underwear, or in Phil's case, with his butt hanging off of it. By 3 AM, they went back to their rooms and were quickly caught, leaving Gareth Southgate to take measures, sending them both home on top of the fine they would already have to pay for breaching their quarantine. After this incident, Greenwood was never again recalled to the national team, while Foden would be back after 2 months. Which begs the question, what else did they know? This would become especially suspicious after Ole Solskjaer refused to comment much on the situation, saying something like, "There is a problem that is being handled." Regardless, this situation actually led to the beginning of a much bigger controversy, as Greenwood took the advice of many who believed he had gone off the rails since leaving Harriet and managed to get together with her once again. Maybe due to all of this, he actually hit a bit of a low point in terms of his form once he joined his club once again. But by March of the following year, he bounced back and got 8 goals and 1 assist in 11 matches, which were especially promising as Manchester United would qualify to the Europa League final. However, once there, despite being the favourites, Manchester United went on to lose the game after a penalty shootout that lasted for 22 attempts, with both goalkeepers failing to save a shot until it was De Gea's turn at the spot, which he failed to convert, losing the match. The following season started with a huge transfer spree, Ronaldo, Varane and Jadon Sancho, and if fans were already hopeful after Greenwood scored in all of his first 3 matches, he had every single one of them swearing that this was his season, but then 21 matches and only 3 goals scored. Something was wrong, something had to have gone wrong, and it wasn't just the chaos at the club or the departure of Solskjaer in favor of Ralf Rangnick. There had to be something else, and so, on the 30th of January, it was confirmed that indeed something was very wrong with Mason Greenwood. That day, Harriet Robson posted several stories on Instagram displaying cuts and bruises on her arms with the caption, "To anyone who wants to know what Mason Greenwood does to me," which clearly hinted that Mason Greenwood was a domestic abuser. While writing this script, I strongly debated whether I should show you the audio that had been leaked. On one hand, it would be good for people who deny the allegations to be faced with the hard truth. On the other hand, I think it's just very brutal, and I don't want to risk exposing someone who might have been through a similar situation to that sort of content, so instead, I will just describe what can be heard. And though I will probably show some of the images, I feel the audio is much more disturbing, so I hope I'm making the right decision by drawing the line there. Please comment your thoughts if you think there'd be a better way of dealing with this. I seriously just want to have the perfect balance of respect for the victims without smoothing out all of the gruesomeness that comes with these acts. So, I'll start describing it now. You can hear Mason telling her in an aggressive tone of voice to move her legs up twice, to which she replies, "I don't want to have sex." From there on out, things get even worse. He keeps telling her to shut up, so she insists she doesn't want to have sex, and so he tells her he doesn't care what she wants. She asks why does he have to treat her like this, and well, it still stuns me how ignorant a guy can be, but he literally says, "Because if I asked you politely, you wouldn't do it, so what else am I supposed to do?" From this moment on, she begins whimpering, and so he begins mocking her voice. At this moment, we can assume she pushed him, since out of nowhere he tells her to push him again and watch what happens, to which, very hauntingly, the audio cuts off. Once on the internet, the audio spreads like wildfire. Everyone is in shock. Turns out their favorite starboy is more like absolute scum. Hours after this, Manchester United issue a statement confirming they are aware of the clips going around, and later on another announcing that Mason Greenwood is suspended indefinitely. Then surfaced one of the puzzle pieces that just doesn't seem to fit in this whole story. Harriet's father comes out saying that his daughter never intended to release those audios and that her phone had been hacked, which then becomes even more weird when he says that after he became aware of this situation, he told her to take them down. Why would any father want to suppress evidence of his daughter being abused by a major celebrity? Instead of trying to say something that would perhaps reassure his daughter that she is now safe, he goes on to kind of defend Mason's character, saying that he's like part of the family and that they have known him for so long, or even that their relationship had been rocky lately, which sounded very apologetic, weirdly enough. As that first day of this whole saga came to an end, the biggest news hit the papers. The Manchester police had arrested Mason on suspicions of assault. The following day, it all gets even worse as they take the charges up a notch as a way to keep him in custody for further questioning, now claiming suspicions of sexual assault and threats to kill. On the 1st of February, Manchester United doubled down, clarifying what suspended meant in this case, which had actually been a serious concern for many fans. Turns out he was indeed completely forbidden from taking part in any training, match, advertising campaign, you name it. The following day, Mason Greenwood is released on bail, meaning that he was freed on the condition that he would have to appear in court when required. From then on, news dried out, with most things coming out being some kind of punishment or backlash he was facing from some brand. He was taken down from the Manchester United roster on their app. He was removed of both FIFA and Football Manager. He was first suspended and then completely terminated by Nike with no compensation. A few controversies then begin to surface regarding how players dealt with what happened, some claiming the locker room was split on how they should approach it. Then Lingard, who seemed to be on his way out of Old Trafford, was kept instead as an alternative to Mason Greenwood, which he clearly was not very happy about, but also showed just how decided on excluding Mason Greenwood Manchester United were. Then fans were outraged that Manchester United were still paying Greenwood his £75,000 weekly wage, as well as $267,000 in shirt sales. Though as a reflection to this, Manchester United stopped all sales of Mason Greenwood jerseys and even offered the possibility of exchanging an old shirt with his name for a new one with someone else's to any fan of the club, which I'd like to say felt like a very good decision. Now, when it comes to Harriet, all that was known was that she would be taking some time off of social media, information which came from a post she made on Instagram after thanking everyone for the support she had been given, as well as that she had been offered specialist support by the Greater Manchester Police. On the other hand, Mason Greenwood has said absolutely nothing, not even through his legal representatives, and even his comments are disabled on Instagram. After this, not much more was known except for the fact that Mason's bail is to expire on the 30th of April, though to be fair, it could easily just be postponed, so that doesn't mean much. And just like that, there's pretty much been no real news for the past month and a half, and you just have to find that strange given just how big the case had gotten on mainstream media before seemingly just disappearing. Although I now have to take a quick side note, as while I was preparing this video, Mason Greenwood had his first public sighting since this all happened, showing up in his car with some friends wearing a balaclava to hide his face. So, what's your take on all of this? Do you think he's gonna get away with no repercussions, or that maybe the silence is just a way to take proper care of the victim? To me that sounds nothing like British media, but we can hope. As one final note, I'd like to show you one thing that accurately represents how harsh Mason's downfall has been. It really illustrates this whole story. Here's his market value according to Transfer Markets, from 50 million euros at the age of 19 to a shocking absolute zero, from being the world's third most valuable teenager to being well and truly worthless.